Merging. Merging is one of the key important topic for any analyst. As an analyst, most of the time, at least 20 to 10 to 20% of your time, you spend on merging on your day-to-day basis. It can be combining data sets using a merging concept, or it can be using joins, but at least 10 to 20% of your time on day-to-day basis you spend combining SAS datasets horizontally. It can be using merging concept, or it can be using joins. Okay, and also we have one more method, proc format. Using proc format as well, we can combine the SAS datasets. And since, 10 to 20%, when I say 10 to 20% of your time, since you are spending on day-to-day basis to combine SAS datasets horizontally, it's very important for you to know how to combine SAS datasets more efficient manner, right? Because we spend 10 to 20% of the time, so definitely you need to know how efficiently you have to combine SAS datasets horizontally. And there are various methods to combine SAS datasets horizontally. From data step standpoint, we have a concept called merging. From SQL standpoint, we use joins. And from SAS procedure standpoint, we use proc format. So depending on the need and depending on the requirement, you need to choose the best method. You need to choose the best method to combine data sets. So out of all these three methods, like merging, or you have, in data step, you use merging. If you want to combine data sets using SQL, in proc SQL, we use joins, or else we can also use proc format. Okay, we can also use proc format to combine the tables horizontally. So which is more efficient? Actually, proc format, in terms of processing time, proc format is more efficient. In terms of processing standpoint, proc format, there is a procedure called format. This is more efficient when you are combining SAS datasets when compared to the previous methods. How it is more efficient, we'll discuss this in future sessions. Today we'll not touch upon proc format. When I talk proc format, then I'll discuss on how to combine SAS datasets horizontally. Okay, and SQL. When I talk SQL, then I'll explain joins concept. So then you will understand how exactly. When to use joins, and there is a difference between when to use. It's the standard question they ask you in the interview. What is the difference between data step data step merging versus proc SQL joins? And they'll give you a scenario. Let's say there are 10,000 records in table A, and there are 10,000 records in table B. So which method you choose, whether you'll go with the data step or whether you'll go with the proc step, which method you'll choose. So such kind of questions they'll ask from this area. Well, recently they have asked for United Health Group. They have asked the same question. Let's say I have given you two data sets. In dataset A, there are 10,000 observations. In dataset B, there are 10,000 observations. Now, if you want to combine those two data sets or join those two data sets based on a common variable or whatever, so what is the best way in your like which method you will choose? So what are your comments on that? That's the question they have asked. So you need to know all the methods in SAS, what all methods you have to combine SAS datasets and which one is more efficient. So we'll see all those things in later stage, but today we'll discuss how to combine SAS datasets using data step merging concept. How to combine SAS datasets using data step merging concept. Okay. Now let me give you an example. Now let's take an example. Let's take this. Let's say you have a table called customers or dataset called customers. You also have a dataset called orders. Okay. Now let's say this is the customer ID and customer name, customer gender information, city in which he is living, and let's say a salary details. So we have customer ID. Let's say we have, so you have customer ID, you have name of the customer, you have gender information, city in which he is living, and salary. For example, let's take this example. So you have this data. So similar fashion, you have orders information. So you have orders information. In orders information, you have this some, let's say, order ID. This is order date, product ordered, and quantity. Let's say for example, the quantity. Okay. Now you want to combine these two tables. You want to combine these two tables. You want to combine. Okay. You want to combine these two tables. Now, if I ask you, which product was bought by Teja? Let's say these are which was the order placed by Teja. Can you tell me by looking at these by looking at these two tables? Can you tell me which product was ordered by Teja?
No,
Why? Why we cannot tell?
no, unique key.
Okay. There is no common column or
Mm,
common variable in these two data sets, right? We are not sure who has ordered this product because there is no, how will we identify? There is no relationship between these two tables. So in order to combine data sets horizontally, what is the prerequisite?
we need to have some common column.
Sorry?
We need to have some
Yes.
common column.
Yeah. The first prerequisite in order to combine SAS data sets horizontally is there should be a common column. Without common column or common variable, it is not possible to join the data sets horizontally. Okay, now let's say let's now let me tell you, let's say this, I manually told you, let's say for example this was the product ordered by Shiva, and this was the product ordered by Teja, this was the product ordered by Naveen, this was the product ordered by Mahesh, and this was the product ordered by Prasanna something. I've given some names here. Okay, let's say I just indicated this product was ordered by so and so so and so. Now if I combine this, let's say without having a common variable, you don't have a common variable, and when you try to combine the data set, you'll have output in this fashion. ideally, sorry, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. See, after saying this, so now you can think of, see, Teja, which product he has ordered? He ordered phone, right? He ordered phone. So, ideally, I need to get this output. And in the same way, if you take Naveen ordered watch. So I need to get his records here. And Mahesh ordered iPhone. So I need to get his record here. This is how I need to get my output. If you have name variable, let's say you have name variable in orders table. So you'll get this output, right? If I have name in orders table, you get this output. Do you agree? Do you agree? If I have name in this orders, I'll get this output. Do you agree with this output or not? Answer. Okay. So if I have this common column, if I have this common column or common variable name called name, okay, in this orders table, then the output will be, or the result will be in this fashion. See, Teja ordered, what was the product ordered by Teja? It's phone. So this record, if you look at the record which is highlighted in blue color and see this value. Are both same? Okay. Product ordered by Naveen. What was the product ordered by Naveen? He ordered watch. Okay. Okay, you have the information. What was the product ordered by Mahesh? Mahesh ordered iPhone. You have that information here. Okay. And Shiva ordered television. You have that information here. And Prasanna ordered gold. So you have that information here. So how we are joining? We are joining based on some common column, right? I mean, here we are mapping the name of customers with name of orders. So you can think of VLOOKUP function. Who are familiar with Excel, you can think of VLOOKUP. It's a lookup table. So you can think of a lookup table. Okay, let's say orders is a lookup table. You are looking the values in this table based on the name. Simple. Here it's a simple lookup table concept. You can think in that way. You are familiar with Excel. Okay, I am looking my value Teja in this table and I am picking the values, the remaining value, whatever columns you want. Simple lookup table concept. Okay, but how SAS behaves? Let's say when you don't have a common variable, this is what we need to get in our output. But SAS behaves weirdly and this is what you get. This is the output which you get in the output. Why you get this? The reason is, what is the reason? Since we don't have a common column, SAS doesn't understand how to combine, on what basis it has to combine the data or which value it has to look in this table. Since we don't have a common variable, what it does is it will read the first observation from the dataset customers and also it will read the first observation from orders dataset and it will form a new observation in the output dataset. See here, it reads Teja, male, Bangalore 50,000. So this is the record, Teja, male, Bangalore 50,000. It read the first record from the first dataset and the first record from the second data set. Okay, and it will combine and it will come as an observation in the output data set, and which is wrong. This result is wrong. By default, if you don't have any common variable, the results won't be accurate, because this 111 product was ordered by Shiva, but this value we got, it was combined with Teja. This is not accurate output. So what I'm trying to convey here is, if you want to combine SAS data sets horizontally, definitely you need to have a common variable. Without common variable, you cannot merge SAS data sets. You cannot merge SAS data sets. Okay, and that's one prerequisite. The other prerequisite is, for example, let's say you have a variable called name. In this orders dataset. Let's say you have a name in this orders dataset. Now you have a common variable, right? Now let me take this. Let me go to the end. Now let's say you have a common variable now. Let's say you have a common variable. Now let's combine these two datasets. What would be the result? So again, SAS will give. So what it does is, first it will read all the properties or all the variables information from the first dataset, followed by it will check here what other datasets it has. So ideally what it does is, let me put it here and explain. This is the first step, and the second step would be, since you have two names, in the dataset, a dataset, there is a rule, right? In a dataset, there cannot exist there cannot exist two variables with the same name, right? So again, this one, what it does is, replace, and this will be removed. This is how SAS creates an output. Is it correct output? What was the product ordered by Shiva? See, what was the product ordered by Shiva? It's TV. Okay, this is fine. Name is fine. Order ID is fine. Order date is fine. Product is fine. Quantity is fine. What about gender, city, and salary? It's not related to Shiva. If you look at salary, this value is different. It's 61,000, but here we have 50,000. And let's look at Teja. So he ordered phone. So this information is fine. Orders information is fine. What about his gender? City and salary information. Here male, Bangalore. Sorry, Teja, right? Bangalore 50,000. But here you have Mumbai 60,000. Why? Because what SAS does by default is, it will pick it will read the first observation from the customer SAS dataset, and it will also read orders information. From the orders dataset, it will read the first record and it will combine. So here the problem is, the merging is based on observation number. Here the merging is done based on the observation number. When I say observation number, it will read the first record from the first data set and also the first record from the second data set, and it will combine and it will form a new observation. It will form a new observation, the first observation in the new data set. In the same way, it will read the second record from the second data set, and also it reads the second record from the this order data set, and it will add and it will form a new observation in the final output data set. And again, which is not correct, which is wrong. So when it will be correct, according to this concept, let me again take this example. Now let's sort this data based on name. Data sort. Let me sort based on name. So now I have sorted based on name. Okay. Now let's go to this data set orders as well. Now let's sort this data also based on name. Now look at the output here. After sorting, the first record is related to Mahesh. Here also the first record is related to Mahesh. Here also the first record is related to here Naveen. Here also it's Naveen. Now what we have done in this case, in order to get the proper output, I have sorted my SAS datasets based on common variable. Common variable is name. Okay, I have sorted based on common variable. Now if you merge these two datasets or combine these two datasets, will we get a correct output? Yes, we get, because here the first record is related to Mahesh. Here also the first record is related to Mahesh. In customers table, the second recorded is Naveen's record, and here also you have Naveen's record. And here you have Prasanna's record. Here also you have Prasanna's record. Now when SAS joins the data sets, you'll get an accurate output. You'll get an accurate output. Okay. So the one more prerequisite here. The first prerequisite is you need to have a common variable to combine SAS datasets, and second prerequisite is you have to sort your datasets. You have to sort all your input datasets which you are merging. You have to sort your input SAS datasets which you are merging. Maybe you might have a question. Let's say you have one more. Let's say you have Mahesh. Let's say Mahesh has ordered. You should get this question in your mind. Let's say Mahesh has ordered one more product. Let's say Mahesh has ordered one more product. Let's say you have one more record here. I'll insert here. Insert. Let's say 444 is ordered on 12 March 2011. So let's say he has ordered some gym equipment. Quantity is 1, and this is Mahesh. Now how SAS behaves. Since we have earlier I told you it will read the first record from this day observation, and it will read the first record from this observation, and it will combine and form a new observation in the output dataset. But if we have fourth record, can it add or can it combine based on observation position? It cannot. When you have multiple records or one-to-many relationship, for the same customer, if you have, let's say, a same customer has placed order multiple times. For the same customer, if you have multiple records, then it is not possible to go by observation position, right? We cannot go by observation position. When I say observation position, the first record, the first observation or the first record from this customer's data set and the first record from this orders data set, it cannot combine if you have more than one record for the same customer. Because if you implement the same concept, Naveen will be tagged with this Mahesh. So what you have to do is, there are some prerequisites in order to get the accurate results. There are some prerequisites in order to combine SAS datasets. The first prerequisite is input datasets must have common variables. Input dataset must have Input dataset must have at least one common variable. Input dataset Input datasets must have at least one common variable. And the second prerequisite is input datasets must be in sorted order based on common variable. Based on common variable. Okay, input dataset must be in sorted order based on common variable. If you do this, if you first object, this is the standard interview question which they will asking, what are the prerequisites in order to merge two SAS datasets. You need to tell this. Now if you sort your data, now merging will be done based on merging is based on common variable values, not by position. Merging is based on common variable value. Merging is done based on common variable values. When I say common variable values, what does it mean? What is the common variable here? Name is the common variable. Now it will merge. It will merge based on name. Mahesh. If you check here in this data set, we have two Mahesh, right? For Mahesh we have two records. In the output also you'll get two records. And here Naveen is there, so it will based on common variable value. And this is the name is a common variable, and this Mahesh, Naveen, Sanna, Shiva, Teja, these are the values. So based on the values it will combine. So it will check, okay, with the name Mahesh what all records it has in orders table, and it will map this value with these values, and if the value is matching then it will combine those records. So merging should always be done based on common variable values. If you want to do this, you have to sort your input data sets. You have to sort your input data sets based on that common variable. Then only you'll get accurate results. Any questions so far? Anyone? Any questions? Okay, if there are no questions, I'll move ahead. Let's see the practicals now. Okay, now let's okay. Now let's see. Let's take customers a data set. You have customer ID, you have customer name, you have account open date. You have customer ID, customer name, and account open date. Okay, let me execute this. So you have 111, 333, 222. You have three records. Let's take one more data set for transactions, in which we have the transactions made by these customers as well as the amount. Now let me execute this. Okay, let me open transaction folder. Now see, this is the first one is transactions, second one is account open date. Now, sorry, customers. In the customers you have customer ID, customer name, and account open date. And in transactions you have customer ID, transaction date, and transaction amount. Now if I combine these two horizontally, I won't get a proper output. I won't get a proper output. Why? By default, the merging is based on observation position. It will read the first observation from this customer's dataset, and it will read the first observation from transactions dataset. It will combine, and it will form a new observation. It will form a first observation in the output dataset. So which is wrong, because the customer IDs are not in a sorted order. If you combine that, it will lead to a wrong result. Let me execute and show you. So in order to merge SAS datasets, you have to use merge statement. In order to merge SAS datasets or combine SAS datasets horizontally, you have to use merge statement. If you want to do it if you want to join vertically or combine vertically, you have to use set statement. So here you have to use merge statement. Merge followed by dataset names. Here customer transactions. Okay, customers name spelling is wrong. Here is the name of the customers, right? So it should be customers. This is fine. What is wrong? Whatever. Okay, I'm sorry. Custom. Okay, here the input data is customers. Customers transactions. Let me open this. See the data. Ideally, if you go to, let me go to your input data. Okay. So what is the first record? Anand. What's the customer ID of Anand? What is the customer ID of Anand? It's 111, but in the output it's showing 222. And Anand opened an account on 30th April. This is fine, but when he made transaction 222, 111, right? Anand is 111. Okay. When Anand made transaction, he made it on 5th June, but it's showing as 1st June, which is wrong. Simply what it does is it will read the first observation from here, and it will read the first observation from here, and it will combine, and it will form an output. It will form a new observation in the output data set. Then why do you have 222? What is the reason for that? It should be 111, right? Why do we have 222? So what it does is, since we have the same variable name in both the data sets, so when it reads this data, this customer ID values from the first data, it will be initially 111, 222, 222 only. But when it reads the customer ID information from second data set, it will override the values. It will override the values. So you'll get 222, 111, 222, 222. So which is not correct. So what we have to do is, we should not merge based on the observation position. We have to merge based on the observation common variable values. We should not merge based on the position number, observation position. When I say observation position, first record from the first dataset and the first record from the second dataset. That is observation position. So you have to sort your input datasets. So you know proc sort, right? Proc sort data equals to customers, out equals to trust by trust ID. Trust ID is the common variable, and run. The same I am sorting my transactions dataset, and out equals to trans by customer ID is the common variable, and run. Now let me execute this too. Now we have sorted the data. So you have trust as well as trans. Now you merge the now you merge the data sets. So this is one-to-one merging based on common variable values. One-to-one merging. When I say one-to-one, for each record in dataset customers, we have only one record in transactions dataset. See, triple one, this guy has only one record. Triple two, we have only one record here. Triple three, we have only one record here. It's a one-to-one merging, one-to-one merging based on common variable values. So the syntax will vary a little bit. In merge statement, you need to mention all your input data sets. All your input data sets you need to mention in merge uh, statement, and you have to use, along with merge, you have to use by statement. It's a standard syntax, it's a rule. So why do we use by statement? We need to tell to SAS merge these two data sets based on a common variable value. What is that common variable? First ID. So I have to merge these two data sets based on first ID values. If you want to tell to SAS that information, if you want to tell to SAS, please combine based on common variable values. So those common variables you have to mention in the by statement. To mention in the by statement. Then it will merge based on common variable value. Let me execute this. Okay, I have executed. Let me print the output. So if you want to browse the data portion, you have to use proc print data equals to what is the name of the dataset, customer underscore transactions, and run. So I'm trying to read the data which is in this dataset using proc print. Now see the output, compare with the input dataset. So Anand, triple one, Anand 30th April 2016. So you have triple one, Anand 30th April 2016. Next. So when he made transaction, triple one customer, he made it on 5th June and the transaction amount is 30,000. So your transaction date is 5th June and transaction amount is 30,000. Okay. If you sort your input data sets and later on if you merge, then you'll get the accurate output. Okay, let's say you have more than one record in one data. Let's see one to many merging. One to many. Let's say the same customer has done more than, he has made more than one transaction. Here you have triple one customer. He made two transactions. In similar fashion, we have triple three. This guy also made two transactions. Now, now you want to combine these two data sets, customers and this transaction data set. You wanted to combine, let's say you wanted to combine. So how you get the output? See, you have only three records in one data set and you have five records in another data set. So what will be the output? How many observations I'll have in my output? The total number of observations depends on this data set. One to many, right? So this triple one will be mapped to two different records, and triple two customer will be remapped to this one, and triple three to with these two records. So now let me merge. Let me merge. What happened? Let's go to log. Okay, I did not execute. I didn't execute this input data set. See here, Anand, he made transaction on, see, for the first two records. If you see the first two records, These two records are related to Anand. So that's the reason you'll have customer ID, customer name, and account open date. These two will be same. When these three variables information will be same, only transaction date and transaction amount will vary. So he made transaction on two different dates. One is 1st June 2016 and 15th June 2016, the other one. And the amounts are also different. So here it is not the matching is done or combining or merging concept is applied in this case based on common variable values. Common variable values, right? But not position. Okay. So any questions so far? Okay. Now, how do you identify a common variable? Let's say you have 100 variables in one SAS dataset. In another dataset, you have 200 variables. How do you identify a common variable? Let's say you want to merge those two files. Let's say there is a dataset A in which you have 100 variables, and in dataset B also let's say you have 200 variables. Okay, and you want to identify a common variable. If you want to identify a common variable, we already discussed what procedure we have to use. Proc contents. You can use proc contents, and you can come up with. See, if you want to, let's say before finding out a common variable, you can also there is a procedure called proc compare. You can compare. Let's say you want to compare these two data sets, customers, and compare equals to transact. So it will tell whether there are any common variables or not. Number of variables in common, it's 1. So we have a common variable. Now you can check if you want. I mean, I'll explain this block compare not now, later. What exactly this block compare output does. We'll see all this later. But if you want to immediately find out whether there exists any common variable or not, yes, you can simply run proc compare. You can compare those two data sets. It will tell us whether there exists any common variable or not. Okay, and after that you can once it shows there is a common variable, then you can go ahead and run proc contents. Otherwise, after running proc contents and later on checking whether there exists any common variable or not, let's say you have done a lot of you have executed all this code, and later on if there is no common variable, it's of no use. Okay, if you are not sure whether there exists any common variable or not, you can run proc compare and simply you can identify whether there exists any common variable or not. Because in this section, when you run proc compare, it will compare the data sets, it will compare the variables, and it will compare the observations. Okay, and if you go to the variable summary section, it will tell you number of variables in common. So it's saying here 2. So there is one common variable. Okay. So then you can run this proc contents data equals to customer out equals. So what it does, proc contents, if you run this piece of code, it will create the list of variables in this data set CUS. Let me open CUS. So CUS, right? CUS. So you will have only the variable names. Variable names will be stored. In the same way, in TRA, you will have only the variable names. Now I want to find out the common column. So you can use in SQL, you can use intersect, select name from CUS, intersect, select name from CRS. I mean, if you don't know this code, that's fine for the time being. When we discuss SQL, when we discuss SQL, we'll learn anyway this set operators. So for the time being, if I execute this, it will display the common variable, the common part in the both the data sets, and now you can identify easily what is the common variable. Okay, or it might also show up more than one value here. Now you need to decide on what variable basis you wanted to merge the data sets. Okay, now let's take an example. I'll take two data sets here to explain this merging concept. When you merge, there are a lot of things which you do it. For example, uh, let's say while merging this data sets, there might be a requirement that you need all the rows, all the rows from both the data sets. Or sometimes they'll ask you only I want all the, let's say there are two tables, the left table and right table. Imagine that one is the left hand side, the other one is on the right hand side. So left table and right table. Okay, so sometimes you might get a request like you want all the data from the left table and only matching rows from the, or matching observations from the right table. Okay, or you want all the rows from the right table and only matching rows from the left table. Okay, or else you might have this requirement like matching rows only from both the tables. You need only common part, you need only common part. Okay, or else all rows only in table A but not in table B. I want all the rows from table A but not in table B. I mean, from all the rows from only in, let's say these are two tables, I want only from table A. In the same way, all rows unique to table A and to table B. So it can be anything. So there are a couple of cases, so which we will look into all those cases. Okay, we will look into all these cases. So there are total 7 cases. Uh, so there are total 7 cases. Let me explain these cases. Means these are the 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. These are the 7 cases which we'll come across while combining SAS datasets. While combining SAS datasets horizontally using merging concepts. Now, let me uh, explain you with programs. Let's say you have debit card customer. What value? DL, I didn't get you. You're asking something? Value, do you have any question? Okay. So I took debit card customers and credit card customers. So in this debit card customers data set, I have customer ID to identify a customer, and you have debit account number of your debit card, and name of the customer or account holder name, debit card open date when you have opened that account, and balance information. Okay. In the same way, there is one more data set called credit card customers. So you have customer ID. See, generally you'll have customer identification number different from account number, because let's say you have more than 10 products, or you have some 5 products which you are having in a bank. So in order to identify a customer portfolio, they will definitely have an ID. ID is different from your account number. You can think of your ICICI bank account number or HDFC, you'll have a cust ID as well as you'll have account number. Okay, so cust ID is to identify the relationship of a customer, like what all the products he has. If I want to find out, they'll be identifying using based on customer identification number, not the account number or anything. Okay, so cust ID, credit card account number, credit card open date, and balance. Okay, now let me go to Excel and explain you. Okay, let's see this. Triple one, there are total 5 customers. Let's say there are total 5 customers in our database, for example. And triple one customer, this guy has both debit card and credit card. This guy has both debit card and credit card. Okay. This guy has both debit card and credit card. So this is debit card related information and this is credit card related information. So triple one customer has both debit and credit card. Okay, and triple two customer, this guy has only triple two and triple three. These guys have only debit cards and they don't have any credit cards. They don't have any credit card. I mean, they are not open. Now this guy triple five or triple four, again he has only debit card, and triple five customer has only credit card. Now let's say you are working in a campaign team or campaign management team, and there was a request for you. They've asked, I want the list of all the customers who has only debit card but not credit card. I want the list of customers having only credit card or debit card, whatever, only debit card, but not credit card. Let's say they wanted to design a campaign. And they want to cross sell the product. People who is having a credit card, they wanted to sell a credit card product. Who has a, I mean who People having a debit card, they want to sell with credit card. Now there might be lot of criteria. For example, I mean the duration of the debit card or the relationship with our bank till now, it should be more than let's say 6 months, and only I want that list. I want the list of the debit card customers who has a relationship with the bank more than 6 months and not having a credit card. Let's say this is the request you got from your, I mean this is the request which you got, and you have to prepare the list of all the customers. So what you have to do here, only these are the 2 customers who has only debit card. Now these are the only 2 customers who have only debit card, and we wanted to sell credit card to these customers. Velu, I think you are chatting with someone, uh, but whatever you are chatting, it is coming here. Okay, so this could be one request, or it can be vice versa. Let's say people who has only credit card, people who has only credit card, and who doesn't have any debit card. So who are those customers? These guys. I mean, credit card, people has credit card but not having a debit card. There is only one customer. Okay, in this case. So you wanted to sell with some savings account or checking account, you want to sell that product. Or let's say people have both the cards, people having both the debit card and credit card. Now I want to engage these customers. Already they are our customers, so I want to retain these customers. In order to retain the customers, you have to come up with some promotional offers. You have to come, or you can sell another credit card, or another, you can encourage them to open a savings account. It can be anything. So in order to come up with, I mean, you'll have a lot of requests. So accordingly, you need to combine and you have to prepare a list of all the customers and you need to give it to them. So I'm giving one simple example. So how it will be in the credit card, I mean, in the campaign analytics space, how they target, and this is one small request, and this is one simple and small task actually. Okay. So now let's see how to achieve that. Uh, now let me explain a concept called. There is one more concept. Let me explain here itself. Now, if you look at this, this is debit card information and this is credit card information, right? Now I want to represent this debit card with a variable called X. I want to represent this debit card data set with a variable called Y, and I want to represent this credit card data set with a variable called Y. X is for debit card and Y is for credit card. Now, as you know, the merging is purely based on common variable value, right? Merging is based on common variable value. Now, these are the variables. Okay. Now, triple one. Let's take all these customers, the common variable. Let's consider the common variable values. The first one is triple one. This triple one guy has both debit and credit card, right? So I want to populate values. If this triple one is existing in debit card, I want to populate as 1. If it is not existing, I want to populate the X values as 0. And see, triple one, we have a record for triple one in credit card as well, so it is 1. Now, triple two, this guy has only debit card. So in X the value will be 1, in Y the value will be 0. Why? We don't have any credit card information. In the same way for triple three, this guy has a debit card, so value will be 1, and for Y variable the value will be 0. And the fourth record, triple four has account in, I mean, debit card account as well as credit card, so the values will be 1 and 1. Okay. Now triple five customer, he has only credit cards, so Y value is 1 and X value is 0. So on what basis we are assigning this 1 and 0? Based on common variable values. Based on common variable, okay, based on common variable values, we are assigning it. Okay. Okay, for some reason I'm not able to draw. Let me take one more. So these common variables, whatever you are seeing, those common variables, okay, those common variables, based on this common variable values, we are assigning this ones and zeros. If that common variable value is present in both the data set, you will have 1 and 1. If it is present in that data set, if the value will be 1. If it is not present, the value will be 0. Now we can answer all our questions. If I ask you a list of customers having only debit card but not credit card, what does it mean? X value should be 1. If X value is 1, sorry, I'm sorry, X value is 1 and Y value is 0. X is 1 and Y is 0. If I say X is 1 and Y equals to 0, it means customer has only debit card. Now if I ask you a question, customers having only credit card, so X value should be 0 and Y value should be 1. If I ask you customers having both the cards, X value equals to 1 and Y value equals to 1. Okay. So if I ask you a question like customers having either debit or credit. So X value equals to 1 or Y value equals to 1. It can be anything. Or if I ask you only customers having only debit card and only credit card. All these scenarios. All these scenarios. Let's take this example. Let's take first this example. The middle one. So customers having both the cards. This is matching, right? This is matching value, matching section. I mean matching part. So customers having both the cards, right? And this is what customers having debit card, and out for few customers we have credit card as well, because this is the section. This is talking about this. B is a credit card and A is a debit card. So if you talk about this, customers having debit cards and few customers have credit cards. Out of all the customers having debit cards, few customers have credit card. And if you talk about this, customers having credit cards and some of those customers having credit cards also have debit card. And if you talk about this Venn diagram, customers having only debit card. And if you talk about this Venn diagram, customers having only credit card. If you talk about this, customers having either a credit card or a debit card, anything. If you talk about this, customers having only debit card and customers having only credit card. I don't want the customers who has both the cards. Okay, so it all depends on these conditions. Based on these conditions, you can come up with the answers. So let's see how to implement this concept in SAS. It's a simple concept. Okay, now let me sort the input data sets first. I'm sorting my input data sets. In order to implement the merge concept, you have to sort your input data set. I'm sorting my debit card customers information and credit card customers information and storing the results in debit and credit data sets. And common variable is first ID. So I have sorted. Now let me merge. See, there is something called, I just explained you about the X concept, I mean X and Y, right? X and Y here. So these two are temporary variables which are created during the execution of merging concept. These two, I mean, it's not always X and Y. This I have given randomly X and Y. You can give any name. These are temporary variables to represent the data sets. To represent these data sets, we create some temporary variables. So you can give any name. So how to use this? So let's say, so we have to use those, I mean, we have to create those temporary variables using an option called in. In is an option, in is a data set option. In is an option. It is a data set option. Using in data set option, we create temporary variables. Using in data set option, we create temporary variables where you need to mention this option after the input data set names. After the input data set names, you need to write in equals to, after the input data set names, you need to write in equals to some temporary variable. You can give any temporary variable here. It can be X or it can be var1. This can be var2. This can be var1. This can be var2. Or this can be X or Y. It can be anything. Now the meaning of this one is X represents debit and Y represents credit. So internally when SAS processes, it creates these temporary variables and these temporary variables represent the data sets. Okay, so and on what variable basis you wanted to join, you need to mention what is the common variable, or on what variable values you wanted to merge these two data sets. So you have to mention in the by statement. Now here your condition. After that you need to mention the condition based on your requirements. Let's say you want only the common part, customers having both debit and credit card. Customers having both debit and credit card. Okay, customers having both debit and credit card. customers having both debit and credit card. What does it mean? It should have both. They should have both. What is the condition? X value equals to 1 and Y value equals to 1. When X equals to 1 and Y equals to 1, it means they have both the cards, right? Let me go here. Here I have written if X equals to 1 and Y equals to 1. Let me print it. Now let me execute this. So now you get only those two records. Customers having both debit and credit card. Now, any questions, anyone? Okay. So the first task which we have seen is in this Venn diagram. So this is the one which we have seen now. Let's discuss this. Customers having debit cards as well as if anyone has a credit card also, I want those records. So X value equal to 1. Simply X is equals to 1. X equals to 1, right? If X value equals to 1, you will get that information. So simply customers having debit card and credit cards if any. Okay, I mean all the data from the debit card and only matching data from credit card. Same thing if X equals to 1. Yeah. These 4 guys have debit card, and out of 4 customers having debit card, only two customers are having credit card. Next, only debit card but not credit card. Only debit card but not credit card. So this is the information. X value should be 1, Y value should be equals to 0. See, X equals to 1 and Y equals to 0. See, there is no credit card data for these guys. And also you can use all your dataset options, keep, drop, rename. Let's say you are interested only with customer IDs. Let's say they have asked only the list of customers. Let's say your marketing team has asked only the list of customers. They don't need all this information. Just they need the list of customers who has only debit card, because they are not interested with the account number, name, account open date, balances and all. They are only interested with the list of customers. Okay, then you can use keep option. You can use a keep option and you can filter the variables. Now you'll have list of customers, only list of customers to whom we wanted to target. Now which one is that? This one. Now let's see. So we are done with 1, 2, 3. Let's see this fourth one or fifth one, whatever. Fourth or fifth. Let's see the fifth one. Customers having only debit card and only credit card. Means customers having basically only one account. What does it mean? Customers having only debit card or only credit card. basically it means customers having only one account, right? Customers having only one account. So how to get this section, this part, only this Venn diagram? It is nothing but this one, right? I mean this part, if you want this part, or else let's go to this Excel. So having only debit card. So X value should be 1, Y value is equals to 0. Only credit card. X value should be 0, Y value should be equals to 1. So there are multiple conditions here. So if X equals to 1 and Y equals to 0, or X equals to 0 and Y equals to 1. Okay, if either of these conditions are true, it means customers having only one account. Customers having only one account, right? Let me print it. See here, 222 and 333 they have only debit card, and 555 this guy has only credit card. Next, now coming to this, what is this? Customers having only credit card but not debit card. We don't want debit card information. We want customers having only debit card but not debit card, but not credit. Sorry, only credit card. I'm sorry, only credit card. See, what is the condition? Only credit card. X equals to 0, Y equals to 1. Right? This guy has only credit card. X equals to 0, Y equals to 1. And if you don't want this, since these guys have only credit cards, if you don't want this debit card data, you can use drop option and drop these variables in the output. You can drop, you can use here drop option and you can drop it. Okay. Now all the credit card customers along with their debit card details, if any. I mean, what does it mean? Let's go here. This is what I want. Now this one. Okay. Okay. So all the debit card, yes, all the debit card, and if I have anything, so simple, all the credit card, right? All credit card and debit card. So X Y value equals to 1. That's it. Answer. All the credit card customers, and if they have any debit card, we got that information. See, depending on your need, you'll be writing all these exams. And now let's say there are three data sets which you wanted to join. Let's say you have more than 3, more than 2, or more than 5 or 6 or 10 or whatever. You can all the input data set names you need to mention in this merge statement, and you have to give in using in dataset option, you have to give some temporary variables internally. Now it creates X, Y, and Z. Now based on your requirement, you have to write the conditions. Let's say, let me take an example. Let's say we have a loan customers data. Few customers have loan. 111 and 444 customer have loan as well, home loan. Okay. 111 and 444 has a home loan. Now what I want is, okay, I want to take only the common customers who has debit card, who has credit card as well as home loan account. I want all those customers information. So in such cases, your value will be x is 1, y equals to 1 and z equals to 1. Let me execute this. So 111 and 444. These guys have loan accounts, okay, loan account number. You got the loan account membership. It's a simple concept. Any questions on this so far? Anyone? Okay. Now let's see how to create all the SAS datasets at a time. Creating multiple SAS datasets at a time. Okay. What do you mean by creating multiple SAS datasets at a time? We have already seen this concept. If you want to create multiple SAS datasets at a time, you have to use output statement, right? Output statement. So I am creating here both credit and debit, only credit card, only debit card, all credit and if any debit, all debit if any credit, only one card, either debit or credit. One second, I have forgot to mention one point. Let's say, what about this case, the full one, full join, this part. I want all. I want all. What you have to do if you want all? What should be the condition if you want all? If x equals to 1 or y equals to 1, you can write in that way or simply don't write any condition. Simply write simply don't write any, if you don't write any condition, if you don't mention any condition, it's full join. You'll get all the data. The condition is not required if you want all the data. So from this we wanted to filter actually based on the requirement. This is what we get by default. If you ignore, if you don't mention any condition, you get this output. And now if you want to filter, then you have to create in dataset option and you need to filter your records. Okay. So here I'm creating, I wanted to merge these two, debit and credit, and I created a dataset option called in X to represent debit card, and to represent credit card dataset I created temporary variable Y. So here I'm writing, you see, I wanted to merge my datasets based on a common variable value. What is the common variable here? Custody. So if X and Y, what does it mean? See, if you don't mention any value, it means X equals to 1. By default, X value will be 1. If X means if X equals to 1, both are same. You can write either X equals to 1 or simply you can write X. It means X equals to 1. And Y. If a record is present in both the data sets, then I wanted to redirect that output to both credit and debit. Okay. If the record is present, or if this condition is true, then I want output all my record. Accordingly, whatever we have seen in the above, all the conditions, I put it in a single statement. I am redirecting. Now, can anyone tell me? Can anyone tell me? Let me Control I want only debit and credit, right? On credit, I want debit. Rest all I will it. Now I'll execute this. It created all these data sets. Now let me open any of the data sets. Let's say anything. Let's open the first one, both credit and debit. Both credit and debit. Let's open both credit and debit. So you got a common part, right? You got the common part, both debit and credit. So 111 and 444. This is absolutely fine, not a problem. Next, only credit card. Let me open only credit card. So this 555 customer has only credit card. So this is also absolutely fine. This is also absolutely fine. Only credit card, you got only one record. There is only one record is there. Next, only debit card. This is also fine. So here, you'll be able to create all the SAS data sets, whatever we discussed above, in a single program. But let's say, for example, I just want you to concentrate a little bit, few more minutes. Now see this program. What I wanted to create here is, I wanted to create here is, I want to create a new variable called status. I want to create a new variable called status in which I want to give some comments. If the record is present in both, I want it presents, let's say you wanted to do some analysis on how many of the customers have both debit and credit card, and how many of the customers have only one card, one debit card or credit card, or how many of the customers have common cards or something like that. You wanted to do some analysis. So for that I want to create a variable called status. In that status I need to populate the values like both debit and credit card, having both debit and credit card, have only debit card, have only credit card, something like that. So what I'm trying to do here is, if x and y, if x equals to 1 and y equals to 1, then status equals to both credit card. If else if x equals to this, then debit card. I wrote this code. Let me execute this. Let me open the data set. See the output. Is it correct or is it wrong? Is it fine? Yes, here it is fine. It's fine. It's coming correctly on. See both credit and debit card. Only debit card, only debit card, only for both credit and debit card, only credit card. If I run some frequency on this, let me say, let me write here, top 3 data equals to table status, run. Now if I run this procedure, it will tell me now I can say 40% of my customers has only debit card, 20% of my customers have only credit card, 40% of customers have both debit and credit card. Okay, since the credit card percentage is very low, I have to take some measures, or you have to come up with some promotional of plans to increase the credit card customers, to increase the credit card customers, something like that. You can analyze the data. Now, okay, I just want to ask you one question. Let's say there is no else if, there is only if. There is no else if, we have written if. what will be the output? If there is no else if, you have only if, what will be the output? Anyone guess? Will I get correct output?
Separate datasets will be created and the status for each will be displayed.
No, not separate dataset. We'll have only one dataset. But the problem is, let's say
You get different.
see, let's go back here, then you'll understand. Now I want only matching data. I mean, which has in both X and Y. So this record, you'll get it as well as this record. Now when it executes, if I say all customers having only debit card but not credit card, or if I can, or let's say customers having debit card and credit card if any. So what does it mean? X equals to 1, that's it, right? If X equals to 1, it means if X equals to 1, customers having debit card, and if anything is there in the credit card, we'll get it. But the problem is the condition is override. Let's say when you apply if X equals to 1 on this, this condition is true on this record. See, when first time when it reads this, if X equals to X equals to 1 and Y equals to 1, the status will be both credit and debit card. Okay. Now let's say when we apply this condition, X equals to 1, if X equals to 1 on this record, the status will change. When we apply this, if X equals to 1, we have written in this code, if X equals to 1, then status equals to only debit card. The status for this record will change to only debit card, because it is satisfying this condition, right? X value is 1. We are not talking anything on Y. We just say if X equals to 1, then change the status to only debit card. So the status for this record will change. It will overwrite. So which leads to a wrong result. It's very important when to use else if, when to use if. So if this condition is true, you should not execute the other statements. Should not execute the other statements. Else part, if in the if statement, if the conditions are true, the else part should not execute the else part. But if you use multiple if statements, even though this condition is true, again that record is processed on this statement as well. Because this is not else part, this is a separate if statement, right? So which leads to wrong results. So now let me execute this and show you. This is wrong actually, wrong method. Okay, go here. Where is that? Don't have credit, debit, customer. Oh, maybe it is more than 1 second. Okay, the dataset name cannot be have. See, I told you right initially there is a rule. Name cannot exceed more than 32 characters. So I have used more than 32. It's showing an error. Let me reduce it. See the output all either debit credit, either debit credit, either debit credit, either debit credit, either debit credit. The status is wrong. Why we got either debit credit? Either debit credit in the sense either X equals to 1 or Y equals to 1, right? And go to the logic, you'll understand why it is there. See, I have given either X equals to 1 or Y equals to 1, then status equals to either debit or credit. So what will happen? The observation will be processed on each and every statement. When it reaches this position, definitely all these values will have either X value will have 1 or Y value will be 1. So this statement will execute, and which is leading us to a wrong result. So you have to be very careful whether you have to use else or else if or if only if. Okay. So this is the right method. But again, in the above case, see the above case. Again, this is if. Means if this condition is true, I wanted to redirect that record. So you do some groundwork on this if and else if, you will only understand how it is processing and all. Okay. I think I have to cover 2 more programs. Okay, anyways, I'll cover next week. Okay, and yeah, we are done for the day. I hope this session was a little interesting. I mean, at least you got some fair idea on how to combine SAS data sets. So what I want from you is, you don't have class tomorrow as well as day after tomorrow. The reason is, many of the students, they have asked for backup sessions. I mean who joined in the recent batch, and I also want you to practice all the concepts, whatever we have discussed, uh, till now. I mean, the class will not be only for the morning batch, 7 a.m. batch, only for morning 7. I mean, it's not for everyone. It's only 7 a.m. batch. Whoever joined very recently, and for them there is no class. And if you have any doubts, you can call me, or you can, you can come and meet me personally, not a problem. But I want you to practice all these concepts. Like we have discussed a lot of things till now actually. Start right from starting, how to create SAS data sets in formats, functions, character functions, date time functions, numeric functions, and after that we saw, if conditional statements, and also how to combine SAS data sets. So I want you to practice thoroughly on all these things. And we also seen first dot variable, last dot variable concept. So please practice all these. Make your hands dirty to try to write code on your system. Not just, don't execute the simply the code. Don't simply execute the code. Select the code and execute. Make sure you practice. You write on your own. You write programs on your own. If you start writing programs on your own, then only you'll come to know where it is going wrong, right?